Happy Tuesday, everybody. Welcome to another episode of China Update, where we discuss leading political, economic, and geostrategic analysis on the world's #2 economy. My name is Tony. Let's jump in. And first up, we continue our ongoing coverage of China's record flooding. Yesterday, Monday, Chinese authorities evacuated more than 82,000 residents across the capital, Beijing, amid renewed torrential rains just a week after floods killed at least 44 people in the capital's northern suburbs. State news agency, state-run, Xinhua reported late yesterday afternoon, that tens of thousands had been relocated from high-risk zones, particularly in Miyun, Bangshan, Mentougou, and Huairou, where floodwaters had wreaked havoc days earlier. The Beijing Meteorological Service issued a red alert, the most severe in its four-tier system, warning of heavy rainfall continuing into Tuesday and even early Wednesday. Officials raised concerns over flash floods and potential landslides in the city's mountainous suburbs, with Miyun once again flagged as especially vulnerable. Last week's floods proved especially deadly, with 31 residents perishing in a care facility in Miyun. A local official later acknowledged, quote, gaps, end quote, in the city's disaster preparedness. We covered this a few days ago. Survivors described the waters rising with alarming speed, devastating homes and entire villages in minutes. Meanwhile, southern China faces its own crisis as Hong Kong issued its fourth black rain warning in a week, the highest level, forcing the closure of services for children and the elderly, shuttering metro exits and halting the morning session of the Hong Kong Gold Exchange. According to Hong Kong-based Hong Kong Observatory, hourly rainfall exceeded 100 millimeters in some areas. Neighboring Shenzhen issued a citywide red alert yesterday, the first of its kind since 2018. These severe weather events come amid growing concern domestically over climate change's impact on extreme weather. China, the world's largest emitter of greenhouse gases, regularly faces deadly summer floods and heat waves. The frequency and intensity of such disasters are expected to rise. With more rain in the forecast, officials across China remain on high alert, urging residents in vulnerable areas to prepare for further disruptions and to heed evacuation orders. Next up, China's official embrace of so-called AI safety is drawing renewed scrutiny as analysts warn that the concept, while echoing international terminology, diverges sharply from democratic standards. A recent lingua sinica analysis argues that Beijing's approach prioritizes regime security over protection and transparency, embedding political control into technical guidelines. Under China's AI safety framework, large language models, LLMs, must undergo systematic risk assessments that include curated training data and standardized labeling to ensure, quote, safe outputs, end quote. Central to this is a mandatory red teaming process requiring AI developers to maintain a, quote, test question bank, end quote, of at least 2,000 prompts updated monthly to evaluate content across all supported languages. But unlike Western safety tests designed to prevent harm such as self-harm or radicalization, China's 31 main safety and security risks are topped by safeguarding, quote, core socialist values, end quote, and protecting, quote, national unity and social stability, end quote. Sample question sets reveal the political dimensions of these safeguards. AI systems must flag references to Taiwan's democratization as a threat to unity, classify certain forms of academic research or art as extremism, and treat negative foreign opinion about China as a potential national security risk. This intertwining of content moderation with state ideology underscores why democratic nations should be cautious, the report argues, about interpreting Beijing's AI safety rhetoric as evidence of convergence. These debates unfold as China enters what the Carnegie Endowment calls its, quote, crossroads era, end quote, of AI policy, triggered by the DeepSeek breakthrough. Following cycles of rapid growth, regulatory crackdowns, and pragmatic loosening, China now faces the challenge of balancing global AI leadership ambitions with economic and technological constraints. Washington's export controls on NVIDIA's most advanced semiconductors and critical chip-making tools continue to weigh heavily. Huawei's Project Spare Tire, involving over over 2,000 firms, aims to achieve 70% chip self-sufficiency by 2028, bundling domestic components to mimic US-level performance. Meanwhile, the risks of China's model are surfacing globally. A NewsGuard audit of 5 major Chinese chatbots, including Baidu's Ernie and Tencent's Yanbao, found a 60% fail rate in accurately handling pro-Beijing false claims in English and nearly 67% in Mandarin. The study highlights how these models, increasingly adopted by foreign universities and financial institutions, embedded state-aligned narratives by design rather than language quirks. Together, these findings suggest that while China's AI safety discourse mirrors international vocabulary, its substance reflects the party's priorities: political control, narrative management, and technological sovereignty. For democratic policymakers, this report argues the challenge is to engage with Beijing on shared technical concerns, such as preventing catastrophic misuse, without legitimizing a framework that equates safety with the defense of authoritarian governance. If you want to be on top of the most up-to-date analysis on China as it's released, consider subscribing to China Update. Hit the bell notification icon and you will be. If you're getting some value from today's episode, don't forget to the like button. And if you'd like to help keep China Update financially sustainable, I rely primarily on your support, audience support, to keep going every day with the channel. Patreon and Buy Me a Coffee links are in the description below. Thank you so much, everyone, for the ongoing support. And finally for today, US and Chinese officials made progress on trade talks last week in Stockholm, but a major sticking point threatens to derail the final deal: Washington's demand that Beijing stop purchasing oil from Russia and Iran. While both sides are eager to avert a new wave of tariffs, China has flatly rejected the US ultimatum. Quote, "Coercion and pressuring will not achieve anything," end quote, China's foreign ministry declared, adding, quote, "China will firmly defend its sovereignty, security, and development interests," end quote. The statement came in response to US threats of a 100% tariff if Beijing continues buying sanctioned oil. The dispute is very much part of a greater geopolitical tension between the two countries, even as trade negotiators signal goodwill. US Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent said that while talks are progressing, the oil issue remains unresolved. Experts doubt Washington will follow through with the tariff threat, noting that imposing such duties could kill any chance of a Trump-Xi deal this fall. Yet some in Washington want harsher measures, and shortly we will see why. A Senate bill backed by 84 lawmakers would allow tariffs of up to 500% on any nation importing Russian energy, directly targeting China. China remains a major buyer of oil from both Russia and Iran. The US Energy Information Administration estimates that 80 to 90% of Iranian oil exports go to China, while Chinese imports of Russian oil hit 1.3 million barrels per day in April. Beijing enjoys discounted prices, strengthening its strategic ties to both Moscow and Tehran. Despite the pressure, Beijing is unlikely to budge. Quote, "China can't afford to walk away from oil from Russia and Iran," end quote, said Danny Russell of the Asia Society Policy Institute. Quote, "It's too important to strategic energy supply, and Beijing is buying it at fire sale prices," end quote. Meanwhile, and more concerningly, China's tightening grip on critical mineral rare earth exports is causing growing disruption across Western defense industries, exposing a dangerous reliance on Beijing for components essential to modern warfare. Following a partial easing of restrictions in June after US trade concessions, China continues to block key minerals used in military applications. China produces about 90% of the world's rare earths and dominates supply of other strategic materials like germanium, gallium, and antimony, all crucial for weapons systems, drones, missiles, and night vision equipment. US military suppliers are already feeling the pinch. Drone motor maker E-Propelled has faced months-long shipping delays after refusing to provide the Chinese government with sensitive product details. One magnet trader said samarium, vital for jet fighter engines, recently sold for 60 times the standard price. In an exclusive published today, US-based The Wall Street Journal reports that Pentagon officials and defense companies are now scrambling to diversify supply. Leonardo DRS CEO Bill Lin warned that his firm is down to its, quote, "safety stock," end quote, of germanium, while Lockheed Martin hailed a $400 million Pentagon investment in MP Materials as a crucial step to secure magnet production for F-35 fighters and cruise missiles. Yet full domestic capacity remains years away. Meanwhile, China's export controls are growing stricter. Customs officials in Ningbo detained a US-bound shipment of antimony from Australia for 3 months this spring, releasing it only on condition it not enter the US. Such incidents show China's willingness to use its mineral dominance as geopolitical leverage. With over 80,000 US defense components reliant on Chinese-controlled minerals, suppliers are increasingly alarmed. Quote, "We talk about this daily," end quote, said Doug Hardwick of the Aerospace Industries Association. As Washington and allies ramp up efforts to secure supply chains, the clock is ticking to break free from China's potentially crippling mineral stranglehold. Okay, that is today's episode of China Update. Thank you everybody for watching. There likely will not be an episode tomorrow, so unless something big happens, I will see you for a new episode on Thursday.